Good morning, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call the regular meeting of the Martin County MPO to order. Pastor Harp, would you lead us in a invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance?
Is it okay to pray for the frayed nerves and getting here and getting started this morning? The Bible says not to despise small beginnings, but I think it's important to maybe don't despise difficult beginnings as well. Let's pray. Father, thank you for this day. And Lord, as I was in your word this morning, I saw how many times that we are encouraged to praise the Lord. We thank you for what you've done, but we praise you for who you are. And Lord, just as we've said, I was frustrated. I probably need prayer more than anyone else coming in the room just because of the difficulty getting here in traffic and all those frustrations. But God, we thank you for your presence. We thank you that you never get frazzled. You never are behind schedule. You never have to try to worry about making things fit. Lord, you're in charge, and we thank you for that this morning. And so, God, as I pray this invocation, it's just invoking your presence and recognizing your presence. I pray, Lord, that you would be with every aspect of this meeting, be with each one that's here, those that are maybe still on the way. Lord, we just ask your blessing and your goodness to just be upon our county and the Treasure Coast, Lord, that you would continue to bless and guide and direct those in charge making decisions, and that this day, Lord, would be a day in which you are honored and recognized. And we just give you thanks and praise in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
How ironic that Pastor Harp would talk about traffic at an MPO meeting.
Sherry, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner McDonald?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Commissioner Hurd?
Here.
Commissioner Hetherington?
Here.
Commissioner Jenkins is absent and excused. Commissioner Collins is absent and excused. Commissioner Mayfield?
Here.
Council member Susan Gibbs Thomas is running late.
Okay, and can we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Approval.
Second.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Hurd. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Can we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Okay, we have
Yeah, I just wanted to make a correction on the minutes. The representative from the town of Sewell's Point is Commissioner Mayfield. There's a mistake in the minutes. At the beginning, it said that Commissioner Campo was at the meeting in February, and he was not. So there is a correction on the minutes. I just wanted to point that out.
Move approval with the correction.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hurd with the correction, seconded by Commissioner Smith. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And if we just make note that Councilmember Susan Gibbs Thomas has arrived. Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. I apologize for my tardiness.
No worries.
Don't ever let it happen again.
We don't have any cards. Any public comments from the public? Okay, seeing none. Move on to item 8A.
8A is the fiscal year 23, fiscal year 24 Unified Planning Work Program, or UPWP Amendment 2, deobligation of federal highway planning funds. As you are aware, the Unified Planning Work Program, or UPWP, is the two-year budget for the MPO, and it defines all of our planning activities that we do. We are in the second year of the current UPWP, which is fiscal year 24. Every 2 years, we go through this cycle that if we want to take money out of the current UPWP and put it in the first year of the next UPWP, which in this case is fiscal year 25, and it begins on July 1st because the MPO is on the same fiscal year as the state, we have to go through a deobligation process. If we do not go through a deobligation process, then that money will not be available until fiscal year 26, which is the second year of the next UPWP. This year, or this time, the deobligation process will be to take funds out of the current UPWP and fund primarily the 2050 Long-Range Transportation Plan that you all approved the scope of services at the last meeting. It will also fund the completion of the US 1 congestion management study that is continuing on to the next fiscal year. So staff is recommending approval of this deobligation of funding, and in this approval, it includes the approval of the resolution number 24-05, which states that is what the board intends to do with this deobligation, is move the funds from this fiscal year to next fiscal year. It includes an amendment number 2 to the MPO agreement deobligating the funds as well. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Smith?
Mr. Chairman, if there are no public comment, I will move staff's recommendation on the deobligation of amendment for 8A.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Smith. Do we have a second? We have a second by Commissioner Heatherington. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Move on to item 8B, fiscal year 24 to 28 transportation improvement tip modification number 2.
Yes, the Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP modification, is also part of that deobligation process. Because the board is approving moving money out of this fiscal year into next fiscal year, that changes the budget of the TIP, which actually mirrors the state's work program. And so it's a modification because the money is not changing, the amount of money is not changing, but also the total amount, I should say, but also the scope is not changing as well. So that's a modification, it's not an amendment, but it's for the state budget and our TIP to reflect that deobligation. So staff is recommending approval, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Smith?
Again, Mr. Chairman, move approval of item 8A, staff's recommendation, if there is no public comment.
You mean 8B?
I'm sorry, AP, sorry.
Okay, no problem. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, second, motion by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Heatherington. Any discussion? Any public comment? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item 8C, draft fiscal year 25 to 26 Unified Planning Work Program.
Yes, the draft 25-26 Unified Planning Work Program, or UPWP, is coming to you in draft form today. It will come back to you for final approval at the next meeting in May, and that is our 2-year budget for fiscal year 25 and 26 and all of our planning activities during that time. We kind of run into this every 5 years when we have to update the long-range transportation plan. Almost all of the monies for consultant services are going to the 2050 LRTP. That's a required document and the biggest document that we prepare at the MPO. Like I said, there are some funds that are going towards the US 1 congestion management studies, and also there are funds that are going towards the development review map. For the last couple of years, that was something that we did new at the MPO, the development review map that showed the development at the municipalities and the county all on one map. And the advisory committees and the board and other agencies have found that extremely useful. And we've gotten recommendations to update it more often than twice a year. So this includes the budget to update it quarterly. So we will be presenting that to you quarterly now, if you all approve it. But like I said, almost all the funds for consultant services will be going to the 2050 Long-Range Transportation Plan, and that's a project that you will be hearing about a lot during this year when we give you updates, when we reach milestones in the development of that plan. So I'll be happy to answer any questions, and staff is recommending approval of the draft UPWP. And like I said, the final will be coming back to you next month.
Commissioner Smith?
Mr. Chairman, pending no public comment, I'll move item 8C and staff's recommendation.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Heatherington. Any discussion? Seeing none. Any public comment? Seeing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody say no? No. Okay, passes. Okay, let's move on to 8D.
8D is the Title VI and Non-Discrimination Policy Plan and update, and Ricardo Vasquez, Principal Planner for the MPO, will present that item.
Good morning, Board. This is an item that comes before you all on an annual basis. The MPO staff takes a look at the Title VI non-discrimination policy and plan update to see if there are any updates that are needed. So this time when we looked at it, we did find that the ADA webpage link to the BOCC website was broken, so we fixed that, so it'll take you to the correct website now. We updated Table 1 in the document where it states top languages spoken at home in Martin County. We always try to keep that up to date. The second language mostly spoken in the county is almost always, always Spanish. So in the event that we have to produce alternative documents in other languages, we always go with Spanish first unless we get a request otherwise. And then lastly, we have a Title VI activity log at the end of the document that outlines all the different trainings and activities that are related to Title VI that the MPO staff takes part in. So we updated that as well. So with that, we are looking for approval of the update to the Title VI plan.
Commissioner Smith?
Again, pending any public comment, move staff's recommendation.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Heatherington. Any discussion? Any public comment? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, let's move on to item 8E.
This item is the Public Involvement Annual Report that Ricardo will also present.
So we develop an annual report every year to outline the public involvement activities that the MPO has undertaken over the calendar year. So for this report, we'll be looking at activities that were done in 2023. So the reason for this annual report comes from our public participation plan. In our our participation plan, it outlines all the ways that the MPO will do public outreach and plan its activities and how we gain input from the public to make our transportation studies better. So that's what currently our public participation plan looks like. And in that public participation plan, it outlines that we have to do an annual report to report on our activities throughout the calendar year. In the public participation plan, there are 6 objectives, so I will be going over each objective with you all. And I will, there's also strategies associated with each objective. So long story short, each objective in the public participation plan has been achieved. So for that, I'll just briefly go through through all the objectives. Objective 1 was to hold regular public meetings with MPO advisory committees to obtain feedback on all documents and projects and funding determinations prior to considerations by the MPO board. And here you see some pictures of some of the studies that you all approved last calendar year. Of note, some of them are, some big ones are the Regional Long Range Transportation Plan and the US 1 at Southwest Palm City Road Feasibility Study. Objective 2 was to provide equitable access to information regarding transportation decision-making. All 6 strategies for that objective were met. And here are some pictures of our public involvement activities at various events. The bottom left was our Mobility Week Art Walk event that we participated with. I believe FDOT partnered with us to hand out safety materials and information. And then in the bottom right there was our US 1 at Southwest Palm City Road intersection feasibility study open house number 1 that we held at the City of Stewart, where we had a lot of participation from the public. Objective 3 was to engage the public early, often, and with clarity so that opportunities exist for public feedback in the transportation decision-making process. All 6 strategies were achieved. And then we also had that US 1 at Southwest Palm City Road intersection feasibility study, open house number 2 there in the middle, bottom middle picture, where we had, I believe, over 100 attendees at that meeting. Objective 4 is to use a variety of methods to involve the public. So we do that in a few different ways. We like to participate in the bike to school days and the walk to school days. We did develop a new MPO website last year, so we are finding that people are enjoying that our new website and navigating that. We do have our social media. We have always had Facebook, and I believe in the last calendar year we created our Instagram page. So those 2 are moving forward, and then we produce our On the Move newsletter as well. Objective 5 is to gather public feedback on the program or projects for Martin County Public Transit. That is an item that we do every year with the Martin County Public Transit. All the 2 strategies for that objective were achieved. And in the top right is the program or projects, or the POP as we call it, that was approved last year, which is included in the tip. And lastly, Objective 6 is to strive to continuously improve the public participation process, which is the reason for this report. So we are kind of grading ourselves to seeing how we did, and so far we are passing with flying colors, but that doesn't mean that we stop to make our process better. We're always striving to see what else we can do for public involvement and public engagement, because that is one of the more important things we do here at the MPO, is to make sure that the public is involved. So this document is pretty important. So with that, we are looking for approval of the annual report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yeah, I just want to say, a couple years ago, I thought we were trying to discuss getting more public engagement. I think that we've done a great job. You have done a great job, because I see significant improvement every year of reaching out to different communities and different districts, more people showing up. So I think great job. And every year, I think we improve on this. So I appreciate it, and I'll move to staff's recommendation for approval.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Heathering, seconded by Commissioner Smith. Any other discussion?
Me?
Commissioner Mayfield?
Yes, this is very minor, but I was reading through the agenda and I saw that you had a Facebook page, and I was like, oh, I've never seen it. So I went to search it, but I think because it's called Martin in Motion, and I'm not a social media expert, like, I couldn't find it, because if you did Martin, and again, I'm not great at it, but if you search Martin, there's a lot of Martin stuff, and I didn't know it said in motion, so I kept doing MPO, Metropolitan Planning Organization. So just, if someone like myself was trying to look for it, it wasn't as easy to find as if it has the exact name. I'm not saying you should change it, but that was just my experience.
Well, actually, it will be changed. Martin in Motion was the name of their 2045 Long-Range Transportation Plan, and that's when we really kind of kicked off our social media, so that's why it had that name. Because we're kicking off the 2050 LRTP, we will change it, but that's good to know. Thank you.
And just for clarification, you typed in Martin MPO, and our Facebook did not pop up at all?
I typed in Martin MPO in search, and
Okay.
I couldn't find it easily. I mean,
Oh.
maybe if you looked farther, but I was like,
Well, yeah,
a
that,
bunch of stuff comes up.
we'll fix that.
So
Thank you.
kidding.
Any other discussion? Any public comment? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Let's see, item 8F, and this is informational, Turnpike and I-95 Direct Connect, PD&E study and presentation.
Yes, you all had requested a presentation for the Turnpike and I-95 Direct Connection PD&E study, so we have staff and consultant here to make that presentation for you all.
Good morning, Board. Florida's Department of Transportation, Florida's Turnpike Enterprise appreciates the opportunity to present on this project. It is, as was mentioned, the direct connection, a proposed direct connection between Turnpike and I-95 in Martin County. My name is Jaslyn Haywood. I'm the Turnpike Project Manager, and I have a few members of the Turnpike team here. If we have any questions that I can't answer, that they will jump in and assist me with.
You can use the mouse wheel
Okay.
up and down.
All right, so we're going to go over, as a short presentation, we're going to go over the transportation project development process, the project purpose and need, why are we looking to make these improvements, the project alternatives we've developed. We've come to the point in the PD&E study where we have 2 project alternatives, and as it's important to Martin County, public involvement is as important to Turnpike. We're going to present these 2 alternatives for public input, get the feedback. But first, before we send it to the public or present it, we like to present it first to our local agency partners. So you'll see what those 2 project alternatives are, and then we'll get into the project schedule. So this is the transportation project development process. It's 5 phases. We are currently in the 2nd phase, which is the PD&E, or project development and environment study, after which, if the PD&E is approved, it goes to design, and then it goes into right-of-way acquisition, which we would need right-of-way for these 2 project alternatives, and then to construction. So right now, the only thing that's funded for this project is the PD&E study. The project is in Martin County, and it is 2 miles. The study limits are 2 miles south of Southeast Bridge Road. I'm going to just say Bridge Road, and then a mile north of Bridge Road. So that's the study area that we're looking at, making this direct connection between the 2 facilities. Why are we looking at doing it? And this is where these project needs are what we use to flush out alternatives that we develop, and then come up with 2 build alternatives. So we're looking to improve system linkage, enhance safety, and enhance emergency response and evacuation. Under improving system linkage, we're looking at if we do that, we can also improve traffic operations and travel time reliability and relieve congestion on the local roadway network. So right now, the yellow dots, they show the I-95 interchanges in Martin County. So there are 4 within Martin County, and there's 1 in Palm Beach. And then we have turnpike interchanges. We only have 2, 1 in Martin County and 1 in Palm Beach County. But there's no direct connection there's no direct connections existing between I-95 and turnpike. What folks do is that they take the nearest, like Indiantown and Jupiter, and they make that connection. So what we're proposing is a direct connection within Martin County at Southeast Bridge. So right now, this shows the movement that's taken, and it's not direct. So you do a loop-de-loop, and then you get off of what is that turnpike, and then you get to northbound I-95, and this is at Indiantown. So this is what drivers do today. And so we're just showing one movement at Indiantown, and now we're going to go up to Martin Highway, which is you get off of southbound Turnpike, and that's the movement that you would have to take to get onto southbound I-95. So it's not direct, and it clogs up that local roadway. So another project purpose and need, we looked at the crash history from 2018 to 2022. So this is along Turnpike. Within that time period, there were about 1,300 crashes, and this equates to an economic crash cost of about $372 million. Unfortunately, resulted in 109 million. 4 fatalities and about 294 injuries. So this is what happens on the Turnpike, the crashes. And now along the I-95, it kind of doubles. It went up to like 2,600 crashes, amounting to $372 million in the economic crash cost, 18 fatalities, and about 759 injuries. Both facilities, Turnpike and 95, are critical in facilitating that emergency movement. So anything that can be done to enhance that is needed. Now we just covered the project purpose and need. Looking at these, what are the needed improvements? We need to create that direct connection between the 2 facilities, and we also need to provide emergency access U-turns, and this would only be used for emergency responders. The process that we went through to develop these alternatives is a tiered process. So we started with 5, and then we created some variations. But at the result, we have these 2 build alternatives that we're presenting to you today, and we'll be presenting to your residents in June this year. And we call it 2 reasonable and feasible build alternatives. So I'm going to get into what those are. So alternative 1, it provides those 4 major connections, the northbound to northbound, southbound to southbound connections between Turnpike and I-95. And it also provides the emergency U-turn for the emergency responders. So it's pretty simple. You go from southbound Turnpike to southbound I-95. There'll be these new ramps. And then the northbound I-95 to Turnpike northbound to I-95 northbound, and then southbound I-95 to southbound Turnpike. Both alternatives, the emergency access is the same. So there's on the left, there's northbound Turnpike to southbound I-95 or vice versa. And up along Southeast Bridge Road, that would provide the access to I-95 northbound to Turnpike southbound and vice versa. I mentioned right-of-way, that's part of the design phase, but we would need right-of-way for both alternatives. In this case, it's about 65 acres, and the right-of-way that's needed is the yellow shaded area on the graphic.
Yellow or orange?
Sorry, orange. My colors are off this morning. So it's the orange shaded areas in the graphic. Oh, sorry. I need to point out that the access, the existing bridge road access to I-95, it stays. It remains the same. You'll have some new bridges, some ramps over the southbound access, and because you have the ramps merging into 95, the southbound off and the northbound on, those ramps will be modified a bit, but the access remains, that's today, with some modifications. So that was alternative one. We're going to alternative two, provides the same major connections between Turnpike and 95 and the same emergency access.
Can you go back?
Sure.
So, will you be able to get off the turnpike going southbound and get onto Bridge Road?
No, so there will be no access between, no new access between Turnpike and Bridge Road. It's only system to system.
Has there been any thought about that?
Yes, that would create some, it would compromise safety because what you would have is 3 interchanges closely within this one area. So it would impact safety. It would be more impactful and costly to the surrounding area.
Yeah, just to let you know, both we had a joint Citizens Advisory Committee and Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee before this meeting, and they did talk about that, possible connection to the turnpike at this location. But then they discussed that, but then when we had a TAC meeting, a Technical Advisory Committee following that, they echoed what Jace Lennis is saying because of the safety issue, that they did not agree with that.
So, and just curious, so if the connections to 95 were a tad further south, meaning like a quarter mile south, could you not get onto 95 and get off a bridge if those connections were a little bit further south? So you had enough staging time to get on to, because right now, if you're going northbound on the turnpike, you depart off the turnpike and you loop on to 95.
Yes.
But you loop onto 95 in such a way that you're bypassing Bridge Road at the 95 exit. So is there a way to move that whole X further south by a half a mile?
I'm going to ask one of my team members to help because this is an area where the two facilities are spaced far enough away to get the ramps to fit in.
I understand.
So let me,
I get it.
is there any?
Yeah, my name is Henry Pinzon. I am the environmental management engineer. And this location was evaluated. The team spent a couple of years evaluating. This is a location where it is better, just the geometry is very appropriate to do that crossover. If you get too close, the geometry is more difficult to provide. So this one is the appropriate location, just geometric.
I will remind you all, about 8 years ago, we sat here with a presentation from FDOT at Canner in 95, and the experts told us that the interchange had to wipe out a hotel and 3 restaurants or 2 restaurants and park access. That's what the experts told us. And we said, no, that's not going to work. Go back to the drawing board and try to figure it out. And so what got built there today, and there's still a further down the road option to expand that intersection at Canner and 95 is what happened. And so I guess I'm challenging you perhaps a little bit to think, if I'm a traveler, forget for a second who the engineers are, forget who this board is for a second. If I'm coming up the turnpike and I'm deciding to leave the turnpike to get on to 95 in the first place, why would I do that if I didn't want to continue up to Palm City to get off in Palm City? If the purpose of this is to alleviate Indiantown Road and some of the congestion down further south, which I think is the background noise for this, right? Then if you're running low on fuel and you need to get off the turnpike, which has happened to me probably 3 times in my life of living here, there's nothing in between that stretch until you get up the Stewart exit. Bridge Road is just about as far going east on Bridge as it is to continue on 95 to get up to Stewart and Canner to get fuel. And it's fine. It looks perfectly wonderful in terms of, yeah, you do this and you're all set. But it also seems like we're missing an opportunity for people to be able to hop off at Bridge if they wanted to hop off at Bridge for some purpose, if you were on the turnpike. And so I would challenge you all to kind of go back and rethink and relook, is there a way to condense that further south that gives you enough space to drop on 295 and get off at Bridge?
Yeah. The whole team evaluate the access to Bridge, and again, this access be the purpose and need for the project, which is the main purpose is to the direct connect. But yeah, the issue is, again, you have 3 interchanges together. It is difficult to construct 3 interchanges. We have several locations where we have 3 interchanges at the same location, and it is very challenging. And
I don't question for a second it's not difficult. I look at the marvelous things you do down south that are billions of dollars worth of construction and loops and twists and tying things together. Anything's possible. It would appear that is the most simplistic approach to how you would link these things together. That's fine. I'm just asking you to sort of go back, rethink your ideas, and say, if we moved that crossover a little further south, is there a way to drop people onto 95? Because you're dropping them onto 95 anyway at Bridge Road, just on top of Bridge Road, not before you get to Bridge Road. Anyway, that's it. That's all. Thank you.
Councilwoman Gibbs Thomas?
Yeah, don't go away.
Because she wants you to be able to come to Indiantown off of the.
Well, so this does away with I-95's access to Bridge Road?
No, it does not.
Okay, so we're still able to stay on Bridge Road or stay on 95 and get off at Bridge Road?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I would kind of challenge that and say, why can't that interchange be on the north side? Not the south side, but the north side. Because if it's on the north side, you're able to 95, you're able to get on 95, and you'll still be able to hit the turnpike from Bridge Road. You don't have one of those, interchange or a booth or an on-ramp, but you're just getting on 95 on Bridge Road, and you're able to then get on the turnpike a little, further down the road. And once again, it may have been advantageous, and I'm with Commissioner Smith. I'm not an engineer. However, if I'm coming from Indiantown and I because I can either go to Fort Pierce, I can go to Stewart, I can go to Jupiter, and then, or Hope Sound, to get on, if it would be Hope Sound, get on 95, head north, and then get on the turnpike there. Would actually be closer probably than any of the other ones. But it also then gives the people from Hope Sound the opportunity to access that if they're going north. If you're going south, maybe you wouldn't even, if Bridge Road has they can't get on, the turnpike at all. So I think if it just, you scoot it up just a little bit, because it's like in Palm City off of 95. Within a mile, you have 2 exits. You've got Stewart, and then you've got Palm City, and then you've got Stewart.
I see. If I understand your comment correctly, move this proposed direct connection north of Bridge Road so that folks can make the choice to get to switch over to I-95, get off a bridge, so you won't need the turnpike interchange with Bridge. If I'm understanding correctly.
Give me that again.
So I'm trying to make sure I have your comment correctly so we can go back. So it seems, because I didn't hear you mention a direct connection from Turnpike to Bridge Road. What you're suggesting is that we move what we're proposing, the system to system, north of Bridge, so that those southbound drivers can switch over from Turnpike to 95 and then get off at Bridge. Is that what I heard?
Yes.
I think that's what I heard.
Either way, whether it's
Either way.
north or south.
Yeah.
I think it does the same thing. It's probably, just thinking about it, it looks like it would work either way.
Yeah.
The idea is that you give access to 95 soon enough
So that they can use,
that you can use the off-ramps of 95 to Bridge Road, whether it's coming from the north or coming from the south. You'd have the ability to get off of 95 as you do today,
understood,
whether it's north of that interchange or south of that interchange.
understood. I'm gonna, Andrew Velasquez, he's our traffic guru, so I'm gonna give him these.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Andrew Velasquez with AECOM, Turnpike Traffic Support, resident of the Treasure Coast area. So I know this area pretty well. When we developed this interchange concept, we did keep that in mind about the access to Bridge. We looked at the traffic on Bridge Road as far as what's out there today and what's planned to be in the future. You guys know this area very well. This is not County Highway. This is Bridge Road, access to Hope Sound. The ramp volumes are actually pretty low, and our forecast models didn't indicate that we would have substantial access moving forward or improvement in traffic forecast moving forward. We do have some new data that we got from the MPO with respect to the development to the west, so we will be looking at that. But if you think about it, if you're coming from the south, let me move this up a little bit. If you're coming from the south from the Palm Beach area and you want to get to Bridge Road, you have the Indiantown Road interchange to get on at, right? So you can get on and off at Indiantown Road. Pretty right next to the Turnpike, as we showed. So whether you're using the Turnpike or using I-95, if you're coming from the south, you just hop on at the I-95 interchange, and then you can get access to Bridge Road. To and from the north is a little bit more challenging, right? Because in order to get to the Turnpike from that area, you have to use the Martin Highway interchange if you're coming from that part of the county, or to and from that part of the county. So I do understand that request. But we did look at an access, and that's one of the alternatives. And if that needs to be brought back to this board, we can. But we did look at an access that connected to Bridge Road directly from the Turnpike. The issue that we found was it would impact the right-of-way on the south side. We have to reconstruct Bridge Road and potentially have some adverse impacts to the connection and access to the farmers market. So that can be shared next time so that you actually can see what that is, and if that's an alternative that needs to be considered even further, realizing the impacts that it has, and that can be brought back.
I guess my argument with that would be, from what I understood, the purpose of this was altogether was to offload traffic at Indiantown because of what's happening there and what's happening at that interchange. So the analysis you just said, well, you can just hop off at Indiantown Road and hop on at 95, that defeats the entire purpose to begin with. The idea was to drop off, from what I recall, all the capacity further north that was using Indiantown Road to get it out of the congestion of Indiantown and Palm Beach County because it was growing so much at that interchange. That was
Yes,
10 years ago,
and
8
we'll
years ago, 7 years ago. And now you're saying, well, all you have to do is just hop off at Indiantown and hop onto 95 and you're all set.
That's just for the Bridge Road people. So it
No,
still accomplishes the goal.
No. That's for all Martin County residents. That's what I do today. When I'm coming up from the south, if I go down to the Keys, if I go to Miami and I'm using the Turnpike, I hop off at Indiantown Road and I hop onto 95.
Right, and the direct connections do provide that. So if you're coming from anywhere north,
But if you're going to go through the masterization of doing all of that work out there, regardless of where it fits, why wouldn't you go one step further and figure out how do we tie it together? I just don't understand that. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
and maybe Jaslyn can finish going through the presentation, you'll see the reduction in traffic that you're we're going to benefit from the Indiantown Road interchange. It's about a 37% reduction in traffic. That's pretty significant in terms of the reduction. The access to Bridge Road the forecast for those ramps is about 3,000 vehicles per day. It doesn't really do it, but we can share that information if that so desires from staff and present that at a later point.
I'm thinking about our residents, and if there's only 3,000 of them that benefit from it, good for them.
Okay.
You know?
All right. Jocelyn, you want to continue with the presentation?
One moment, Commissioner Mayfield?
Yeah, I pressed my button a little bit ago, but I think that question kind of got answered. I'm new here, so I was getting just the basic background, because one of the points of why to do it was to get traffic off local roadways, and I think Commissioner Smith addressed it. The reason why, is it because of just Palm Beach County, Indiantown Road, or was it other roadways too? So I think my question got answered, but I'm just clarifying for sure, like why this spot right here are you doing it?
Yeah. I think let's let Jocelyn go through the kind of the benefits from a traffic perspective, because we do have a slide on that, but
I have
go
a
ahead.
quick point first. So, looking back at the history of this and understanding that it's wanting to offload traffic, but and I'm not sure if we need an intersection at Hobe Sound or not, but the reality is that this is needed because of the incredible amount of people that are transitioning from St. Lucie, the way I see it, from St. Lucie County to Palm Beach County every day, which is then overburdening the Indiantown Road exit. So why shouldn't we get some benefit out of it? And again, I'm not sure if we need the intersection there or not. I'm not in Hobe Sound very often, but certainly I think there needs to be some benefit to Martin County residents at some point, because it's the additional traffic is not being generated in our county to speak of. It's being generated in St. Lucie County and to Palm Beach County to the south. So anyways, go ahead.
You'll probably be back up, Andrew, when we get to the benefit slide. So alternative two, it provides the same thing with the ramps in a different location. So we have the northbound to northbound and the southbound to southbound and that emergency access. So I'm going to get through this so we can get to that benefit slide so we can talk some more. But these are the new ramps, southbound to southbound, northbound to northbound, northbound to northbound I-95, and I-95 to southbound Turnpike. So the ramps in this alternative are in different locations such that, we also have the exact same emergency access. And this is what I thought. The orange, again, shows the potential right-of-way impacts. In alternative one, it was about 67 acres, I think, and in here it's about 73 acres. The ramps are in different locations so that there are no modifications needed to the existing I-95 ramps. And now, this is a slide that we'll simmer on, but these show the traffic benefits of both the alternatives. So the new direct connection interchange is anticipated in the year 2050 to handle about 26,400 vehicles. And that so that's that. And then that West Indiantown Road interchange, the crossover traffic that's removed between the I-95 and Turnpike is going to be about 15,600 AADT. So that's a 37% decrease at Turnpike and a 16% decrease at I-95. And then at Martin Highway, it's 8% with a crossover traffic of 3,200 removed. So I'll sit here and see if we got to bring back up Andrew to discuss this.
Commissioner Mayfield?
Yes. So just to clarify from my other question, the reason that this isn't happening down at the Indiantown exit point is because it's too close together. You said something about the distance at Bridge Road is, okay, and that's why it's coming to Martin County. Okay.
Yeah, so just to elaborate a little bit, so this does address the purpose and need, which is to handle the crossover movements for all vehicles who are, basically, if you're starting from Martin Highway to the north and you want to cross over, and you want to get over to the I-95 area, or vice versa, and if you're coming from south of Indiantown Road, this addresses that. So it is that crossover movement. So you can see the reduction in traffic of 37% at the Turnpike interchange, and then also at the Martin Highway interchange for people not having to make that movement, getting off at Martin Downs, and then working their way over.
Okay.
Councilmember Gibbs Thomas?
Thank you. And the alternative number 2 was my way of thinking, except they're swapped. If you have the northbound,
Can you go back to this? Yeah, thank you.
yeah, the alternative 2. So if you have the northbound changeover on the north side instead of the south side of your interchange there with 95, if you do your northbound on the north side and your southbound on the south side, then your traffic getting on 95 from Bridge Road also has the alternative to, if they're going north, they can choose either to stay on 95 or to go on the turnpike. And conversely, if from Bridge Road you get on 95, you have the opportunity at that point, you're not doing an extra interchange, you're just swapping those. So you have that choice once you get on 95, well, okay, let me hop over to the turnpike, if you just swap those.
So what you end up doing is you're creating a kind of an unsafe weaving movement along I-95 because you have the two ramps coming in together at the same location. We have a variation of this that we looked at that provided that access to the north. So you don't want to have traffic mixing on I-95. That's what we want to try to avoid. We also don't want to have the high-speed traffic kind of merging into the low-speed traffic trying to get off at Bridge Road. You can accomplish one of those, but you can't do both because you're going to end up with weaving on I-95. To get off, let's say if you wanted to get off, say, imagine flipping it. You're now going to have the movements occur on I-95 itself as you're trying to make that exchange between the turnpike and I-95. So you end up with a situation where there's going to be a lot of crossover
People
traffic.
that are coming in, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be coming in and then have to jump back out to go to I-90, to go the other direction, if you can imagine.
Okay, so what type of area, how much area do you need between that? Because I'm thinking of, quite honestly, I'm thinking about 95. Once again, I'm going back to what I know. And you're talking Palm City and the Indian and the Palm City and the Stewart exit off of 95, how close those are. So that happens in a relatively quick, and how, is that considered unsafe?
It's a little bit different because now it's not a systems interchange where you have, these ramps are designed to carry 55 plus miles an hour. So you've got people coming at a very high speed. What you have over there, you're talking about High Meadows area, is that the interchange you're talking about? Yeah, that's a little bit different in terms of the configuration. So, we have to also coordinate with Federal Highway on this. And the last thing they want to see is something unsafe on I-95. We've coordinated with them and some of the alternatives development to begin with, as well as we have to present this to them at our final option. But as far as having that connection come down, if you can imagine, you're coming from, if you want to flip it, you got to come from the north, and then you're going to have people traveling on I-95, and then have them make that decision to go on to the turnpike further down south. That'll have to be probably at least a mile of distance to make that safe, and that will probably push you outside of the limits. Remember, we're trying to also accommodate this in an area where you can get those ramps to come in, so you're not having to swing all the way out and take right away or separate the two roadways. The other constraint that we have, which is not really demonstrated here on this graphic, there's a purple line that goes along the turnpike northbound. If you guys can look at that graphic a little bit more detail, that's Florida gas transmission. That's a gas transmission line that we have to avoid. We actually have to shift traffic to the entire widening to the west to avoid that because of a settlement agreement. So that's another constraint we're dealing with. There's a lot there in terms of constraints. We get it. I understand what the ask was. The ask was, can you have a connection to Bridge Road, primarily to and from the north, right? Because that's where, you have that movement to go to Martin Highway. Plus, you have an in-town road very close to the south. So I think we could share that with staff, the alternative that we looked at. And we have that alternative that we considered.
Mr. Smith?
I'm sure, and the crash data, I think that you all shared with us in the beginning of the presentation, I can't tell you how many times I have come to a stop on I-95 or the turnpike has been at a stop because the crashes that for some unknown reason between Indiantown Road and Canner, is horrific. And I don't know what happens out there. I don't know why it happens out there. I don't know if it's because people are used to coming up from the south and the speeds at which they are, and then all of a sudden there's this quiet area between Indiantown and Stewart. I don't know. But the ability to give everybody the most option as possible to get around if they need to. I think Troy pointed out as well that Martin County should be getting something out of this if there's something to get. And I also, on this whole idea of how things merge and blend together, if that analysis were as important as it seems to be in the conversation, the confluence of Sawgrass, Turnpike, and everything that goes on down south with that overpass and those 9 lanes or 7 lanes and the signage, I think, is god-awful. That doesn't tell you that the Sawgrass isn't going to take you to Naples. It's going to take you north. If there was ever a confusing turnpike relationship, that's the worst, in my opinion. This seems fairly straightforward to me. I don't necessarily agree that people won't be able to weave and blend. I think they will. I just think it needs to go a little bit back before we go forward. That's all. I just think I'm going to want to see some additional options that give us some more flexibility, I think. I think if we're going to go through the acquisition of land, the gas line is an interesting conversation, but clearly that's something that we have to deal with. I get it. But the more flexibility, I think, the better.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hurd?
Yeah, I'd encourage you to do as much public involvement as possible. This is a big improvement that you're contemplating, and this is the right time to do it. I think that you need to present before the Town of Jupiter Island Commission and the Martin County Board of County Commissioners. Those have 2 wider audiences than the MPO does. Thanks.
Commissioner Mayfield?
Yes. Yes, to Vice Chair Smith's point, I was thinking about turnpike signage, and I take the turnpike a lot, north and south. And yes, where it changes down south, I've missed the turnpike exit several times, much to my chagrin. I don't think the signage is great for the turnpike, at least down there. So if something like this is happening, it would be great to, I'm getting a little ahead of the game, but just to note that more signage the better for people. They're usually distracted. And then just for me, I'm not personally into the Bridge Road Turnpike exit if it doesn't make sense monetarily, and I don't, in my opinion, usually highway exits lead to more development. I don't think that Martin County is into a lot of development at this point. So if it's not necessary and people aren't clamoring for it, I think any of your alternatives look good.
Okay. Beth?
I just wanted to make a suggestion. I know you all had requested this presentation before the actual kickoff of the public involvement that you all have as far as going out to the public and having, presenting the alternatives to the general public. I recommend, I think it might be a good idea, since you all do have some questions and would like to see some other options, is perhaps, usually when you go through that public involvement process, you come back to us and go through our advisory committees and our board. So I think it would be important, the timing of that is once you go to the general public and go to the Jupiter Island and Board of County Commissioners, then you come back to us, to come back to the MPO, because I think this board would be very interested to know what all those entities, what their feedback was. The advisory committees can be happening the same time as the general public and the other commission meetings, but I think to get all of those comments and input compiled for this board would be very helpful.
Definitely. So we are looking to take these 2 alternatives for public input at a public meeting in June. Right now it's June 19th and 20th. But I want to stress that all this involvement, all this engagement that we're doing is to get the feedback that we're receiving. And we will take that back and revise the concepts as necessary based on the feedback. So We'll do the public meeting, we'll present to the two board or the committees that you just mentioned. We also have what we call a value engineering study, where it's another engineering team who has never seen this project. We give them these concepts, and we also give them the feedback that we've heard, and they come back and they give us some value engineering recommendations. So many times, turnpike projects, they look one way at the public meeting, and based on feedback, they look a different way at the public hearing if the changes are feasible. So we're going to continue to work through the public engagement process for sure.
I just didn't want, you mentioned giving staff extra information about another alternative you looked at or something. I just didn't, I wasn't comfortable with that. I think if you were, I think it needs to come to the board because they're the decision makers. So, and they need to, I think they would be very interested in hearing, once you get all that feedback from the general public as well as the other commissions, I think this board would be interested to hear that.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah, in the timeline of all this,
Yes.
if only these two alternatives are going to go to any kind of public involvement,
Yes.
the public is not going to be given the opportunity to understand or know at those kind of workshops that there is option 3, 4, 5, and 6. And if you don't show them, they won't know, and you'll come back and say, oh, everybody loved option 1, or everybody loved option 2. And then you leave the board with this kind of, well, they didn't get to see option 3 or 4. And so what I would encourage you all to do is before you go to the public and this June timeline,
Yes.
you come back to the county commission and you come back to the different boards and get some more feedback from us. And look, if the county commission says, we're not interested, we only want option 1 or 2, go have at it and go do your thing.
Okay.
I will keep pushing for some other options because I think it's an opportunity to fix some things that otherwise won't get fixed, or that we will regret not doing 30 years from now, that somebody said, why didn't you do that back then? Anyway, I just think in the timeline, there's a couple iterative things that ought to happen before you get to the public and only show them the 2 options.
Understood, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Commissioner Mayfield, did you have something?
I just have a quick question. Given that this happens, what is the plan for the Indiantown Road Turnpike 95 area? Keep it the same? Improve it?
Do we have any plans, Turnpike?
Minor. I was just curious. That's where I always do the interchange.
Please continue.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually going to address a lot of the issues that we have at Indiantown Road with the 37% reduction in traffic, but we are looking at an additional westbound right turn lane to get on at some point in the future, plus a dual eastbound left turn lane. So that's a further improvement that we're looking to do. But other than that, this is the
Okay.
fix.
Okay.
Susan?
Just kind of a sidebar, doesn't really have anything to do with this, except in one area talking about population projections for western Martin County. I know what I've seen the school board have is not realistic to what's happening in the western part, not necessarily Hope Sound, but the western part of the county is, I think, significantly different than what is projected in many different things. So it's just a comment.
Higher or lower?
Higher.
Please continue.
And that's it. This is my last slide.
Oh.
And then it goes to my contact information, and thank you. But I've heard the feedback, and we'll go back and bring some alternatives.
Commissioner Hurd?
Yeah, just another opinion. I think that Commissioner Gerber made a good point about exits being opportunities for further development, so I'm not in favor of that either.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, Commissioner Smith, did you have one?
Do you need a motion to give direction, or is direction?
No, I think this was an information item,
know,
but
I
I think
un-
you all have direction about, you'll be coming back with the other alternatives as well as feedback that you've received from your other public involvement initiatives.
But the question is timing. I think Commissioner Smith is saying he wants that done before the public meeting.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right.
Because if I'm wrong, and Sarah and others
Okay.
are, fine. I'm just, from my perspective, as one of 5 that will end up deciding on this, if 3 of us say we're not interested and those 2 options are great, fair enough, good enough. But I will share with you, again, that decision that was made at I-95 in Canner, had we not spoke up, had we not said, no, we're not interested in doing that, that's what would have gotten built. And then there was this whole double diamond thing, or crisscross double diamond thing we were going to do underneath the bridge at 95 and Cantor. Things take on their own life.
Yes.
And if there's not the opportunity to say yes or no, then it just kind of keeps on going. And so I would advise, and that's why I asked if you want a motion so that it's but if not.
Sure, no, go ahead.
No?
Also, before I finish, I spoke about local agency meetings. We do meet with, we're meeting with Martin County Public Works this afternoon and the emergency responders at 1. Just an FYI.
I would hope before June, the commission has a agenda item that talks about this, and we get an update from where you all are, and that we give some feedback.
Okay, understood.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you.
To the board.
Moving on to item 8G, Development Review Interactive Map. This is informational.
Yes, Ricardo Vasquez will present this item.
This is the Development Review Interactive Map that we spoke a little bit about earlier that we will now be updating on a quarterly basis once you all approve the UPW, or the next UPWP. So with that, we did get some updated shapefiles from the development from Martin County. Still currently only Martin County, the Village of Indiantown, and the City of Stewart are providing us with shapefiles, which is what you see here today. And of course, the red lines and dots are our listed project priority projects here with the Martin MPO that we overlay over all the developments. So with that, there hasn't been any major updates to the map. I won't go through how to navigate it and use it. I've done that several times with you all already. But if any of you need assistance in navigating the map or getting to it, or want a walkthrough, or want a presentation, feel free to reach out to the Martin MPO, and we'll do our best to assist you with navigating it. So with that, we just wanted to bring up the update to you all and share the news that we will be updating this more frequently moving forward, and it seems to be a success.
Yeah, I think this map has been fabulous. I mean, I use it whenever someone calls me about a question about anywhere in the county. I can, it's like, I don't know. I mean, look. So I think it's worked out really well. So, and I'm glad to see that we're getting the data from Indiantown now. So, okay, is that all on that item?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to item 8H, 710 update.
Yes, Ron Kariva is here from the District 4 office of FDOT to present this item.
Good morning. Ron Kariva with FDOT from the Planning Environmental Management Office. Just a quick update on the 710 projects that are ongoing. I don't have a presentation per se, just we've been here regularly, just keep continuing to update you on it. The widening projects have been going through the selection process for consultant, which we've just selected a consultant, and negotiations ongoing to begin those services for design for the widening all the way from 126, which is in Okeechobee County, to Van Buren. The intersection relocation project for County Road 714 being relocated to 710 and Southeast 126. That design is also ongoing at this time. Both of those projects have right-of-way funded. Construction is not funded for those. We're continuing to seek opportunities for funding for construction for all of 710, both the intersection relocation projects and the widening.
Quick question.
Yes.
I know it's not your district, but are they, I think it's District 1 in Okeechobee County, looking at widening 710 up to, because otherwise it's in a neck down to 2 lanes when it hits the county, and again, we're going to, at the county line, there's going to be a convergence of traffic.
Yeah, same problem.
I'll have to check into that. At one time, it was on their long-range plan for that purpose of widening. I think they want to widen it all the way from Okeechobee
I think
south.
it's moved out to the out years. That's actually how the PD&E study for the 714 realignment came about. It was for the widening of 710 in Okeechobee County, and they had requested that the realignment be part of that PD&E study. So they still, it's not funded. It's funded for construction in the out years of the work program, but it's certainly a priority of theirs.
Okay, yeah, it's still on their priority list, but I know, as Beth said, there's nothing ongoing at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
And what am I missing here? Oh, Tommy Clements, sorry. So Tommy Clements, there's a left turn lane widening project ongoing. That's under construction now. If there's any questions about that, I have Chris Carries here from the Operations Center. And we plan on, as soon as that construction is complete, come right back in and do the right turn lane, which I updated you guys on last month as well. But it will be done immediately after the left turn lane construction is is finished.
Susan Gibbs-Town.
Thank you so much. That right turn lane, that's very encouraging. Appreciate you guys' ability to act quickly and get that done. I would like to ask, in the process of the project that's going on at Tommy Clements, I know that that is a very active community, and they advocate for what they see that they need. And there was the brush along the side, and I guess several emails, and that got accomplished. Because I was kind of tagged in all that, and then got pictures provided by that community. And actually spoke with somebody Saturday, happened to see them, and spoke to them about it. And they are very pleased how well it has been, but their concern is ongoing. And mine too, I know that I spoke with Beth about it whenever we met. That is an issue. And now that we are aware of it, whose responsibility is it, and who took care of making sure that was all mowed back appropriately? And my personal opinion, it just needs to get on there has to be a maintenance schedule somewhere. It needs to be on a maintenance schedule so that is done regularly and not forgotten.
Understood. Good morning, Board. Chris Karras, Treasure Coast Operations Engineer. Good questions. When it comes down to it, we were looking to include that scope of work when it comes to the clearing into our construction project. It just wasn't getting done in a timely manner. So we asked our in-house maintenance forces to go out there, cut it back, and they were able to get out there in 24 hours and get it done. So they did a great job on accomplishing the task and alleviating the sightline issue. When it comes to the further clearing that is being requested, part of the concern is that this area is under what appears to be an easement. So we have to determine where we're able to accomplish that task within the easement guidelines and easement requirements. There's also a canal on both sides of Tommy Clements, which does pose a little bit of a challenge when it comes to the access into that area to clean out the existing vegetation that is further beyond the area that's already been cleared. We're committed in construction to maintain the area that's already been cleared and cut down. But when it comes down to it, it is an active conversation that we're doing right now. We're seeing if we can get in there as soon as the active construction is completed and possibly include the clearing in the upcoming left turn lane accomplishment project.
Okay, and I appreciate that, but what I'm hearing is construction phase. I'm talking further out than the construction phase. Who would that responsibility fall to? And how quickly can we make sure that it is on somebody's schedule, that it is an ongoing project that continues to be done?
Are you talking the area that's already been cleared or?
Yes.
Okay, so that we have an asset maintenance contractor in Martin County now. I'm not sure if the board's aware of that. That area, we can make sure that they're aware of the need to maintain that sight line, and we can just make sure that it's being reviewed on a monthly basis to make sure it's being cut down and cleaned up.
Okay. So past the construction phase.
Correct.
We're talking on into the future that would be wonderful. Can we get kind of in on that information? Is that's just an automatic, that's going to happen?
I will work with the asset maintenance project manager at our local office in Fort Pierce, make sure he is aware of the concern, and make sure that's as part of their ongoing routine maintenance cycle.
Okay, and once you confirm that, can you make sure that we're kind of looped in on that email stating those things so we can let that community know what's happening? So then they're kind of, if they feel like they need to advocate, they know who they need to advocate with.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you for that. Back to the right turn lane, I think last meeting we talked about the secondary contract that would have to be implored to get going. Have you let that? Do they know? So when the Tommy Clemens work finishes with what they can do today, where are we with the next contract for the turn lane?
Sure. When it comes down to it, it's going to be handled under a push button. It's one of our mechanisms to get a contractor out on the roadway as quickly as possible. It's a contract that we already have a pot of money dedicated to. We just got to issue the work order to them. The plans, from what I understand, are nearing 100% or already are at 100% for that additional work effort. And the plan is, as soon as final acceptance occurs on the ongoing activities for the construction, we're going to issue that work order and get that contractor moving to.
Okay, and it may seem like silly little details, but so that we don't lose months with that, Is it something that that contract with your push-button program can already be let, and they know literally on the sign-off day that occurs with the work that's being done, that they can start the next week, the following week, within?
We can absolutely have that conversation, and I agree with you. When it comes down to it, we don't want to have a large overlap.
And you don't have to confirm it with me, but can you confirm it with Susan? And just make sure that Indiantown knows that we're not wasting a day in the timeline to get that done. And to the maintenance question, to Susan's real question, I assume there's some kind of a maintenance work program that you all have that keeps up stuff. Is that going to be just worked into every 6 months? There'll be a task order to go out and manage that intersection from a maintenance perspective?
When it comes down to it, their routine mowing cycle will just need to include this area. So I believe their mow cycles are, in most cases, at least once a month or once every other month. So we just need to make sure that the contractor's aware that this area is our responsibility to maintain and keep that sight line open.
Great, that's a perfect answer. And are you the one that oversees our bridge, the Roosevelt?
It
Kathy
is.
the one who calls you and?
I am involved in the conversations. It is also an asset maintenance contracted area, but the management of that contract is actually done out of our district office in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, it's not out of Fort Pierce?
No, sir.
Really?
Correct.
Okay, well, thank you. I guess it's been moved up to every week we're cleaning it now.
It appears to be.
It helps because for whatever reason, there is a bunch of trash that ends up on the bridge, and it's nasty. But at least if it's once a week, it's getting taken care of. But I appreciate the effort, and it really does make a difference.
Please do not change how you're corresponding when you guys see an issue on that bridge. Make sure my office is included in that correspondence. That way I can make sure that the work order that is issued to the contractor, we're aware of it, district office is aware of it, and the contractor's been made aware in a timely manner.
So are you the one that Kathy's communicating with, or is it somebody else?
I believe it might be our front desk, which is, I'm included in that correspondence. I see it on a CC level, but not directly to me.
That's great. Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Susan?
And just real quickly, I thought that when talking about the maintenance, that you said something about reviewing, getting out there and reviewing every month or two to make sure that that is, even if it's on a regular maintenance cycle, everybody knows in summer in Florida, everything grows quickly. So, having someone, and I thought I heard you say that somebody would do like a site visit and review that, the in-between, to make sure that it is still. Did I hear correctly?
We have, yes, our contract manager does ride the roads on a monthly basis looking for issues, so we can make sure that, again, this area is on his list of hot topics to ensure that the sideline is clear.
Fantastic, thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, all set. So if that's all we have on that item, comments from FDOT? Oh, here we go.
Hi, I'm Chris McCurdy, project manager at FDOT. I don't have any additional items other than what was discussed, but do you have any questions for me?
Looks like we're good.
Okay, thank you.
Comments from advisory committee members? Okay. Comments from board members?
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I just actually have an update. Hear me? This doesn't
Yep.
sound like it's on, but an update for, we had a very large community meeting at South River. As you know, this board has prioritized South River, a traffic light, a right-hand turn lane. 2 Mondays ago, we had a community meeting, probably just under 250 people attended the meeting, so it was well attended. We discussed all of the traffic safety issues that we're having and have been having for some time. I'd like to thank, I see Rob Lopez from DOT here and his team for coming to that meeting and presenting the options on the right-hand turn lane. If you've driven down Kenner Highway lately, you've seen the somewhat obnoxious delineators. Those are temporary. We wanted to make sure that the turning, it would create a safer turning movement into South River, because by and large, a lot of the accidents have happened going into and out of that neighborhood, which is a neighborhood of 550 residents. So a lot of the collisions have happened going in and out. Those delineators were to test some of those movements going in and out, and they seem to have been very well received. although the delineators themselves were not. So we're moving on to doing a permanent delineator, which will be much more aesthetically pleasing. So I'd like to let every resident know that that is coming, and South River has approved it. At the meeting, we discussed the right-hand turn lane, which is again on our priority. There were some concerns from the residents that that would limit their sight distance as they're coming out of South River. And they're making that right-hand turn, which would be a right-hand turn only because of the delineators, that they were going to have a hard time seeing with a right-hand turn lane around the curve. I think that the DOT did a really great job, and our Public Works, of describing, the scenario of stopping for the pedestrian crosswalk at South River and then rolling up to Canner Highway. I also think that DOT expressed that likely if there's a traffic signal in the future, that it would probably need a right-hand turn lane there to facilitate a traffic light. So that community will be voting here very shortly on the right-hand turn lane, and we'll be proceeding forward for that. But they desperately need some safety improvements there, and are really advocating for the traffic light. So I appreciate DOT attending that meeting, and George from Public Works, and Luke. Again, 250 some odd people, and we probably received as many emails. So we appreciate having it on the priority list and look forward to getting the delineators. And the only thing we have not achieved on that traffic safety, and if anybody from the DOT could help me out here, whether you would take some speed feedback signs from Broward County, we're waiting for some speed feedback signs for quite some time now, a long time. I know there's supply chain issues, but we've been trying to get these in for probably more than a year. So if anybody from DOT could help us out with some speed feedback posts, that would be fantastic, because speed on Canner Highway is a major concern, and that seems to, cause a sense of awareness of people. So, and we certainly have beefed up enforcement with the Sheriff's Department, and look forward to getting the right-hand turn lane and the traffic light installed. Thank you.
Thank you. I was just going to say, you mentioned speed. I've just seen an incredible amount of aggressive drivers lately, just passing in places that you shouldn't pass, and just putting everybody else in danger. Only thing I was just going to say, on the May 6th meeting, I won't be here, so I'll be out of town. So if there's nothing else, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.